Guys, this is Tikwe, also known as Richard. We are doing another game today of the French versus the Delhi Sultanate. I think the only thing or big comment I have about them is don't let them scale. I found that when you have a consistent battle going on against them, and you do have some focus on a fast castle, so you can actually challenge the war elephants and cavalry or the spear elephants, you can actually do pretty decent against them. I think he made a bit of a mistake because he might be a little bit new to the Delhi Sultanate by training siege engines instead of, um, the catapults or trebuchets. Or sorry, he was training trebuchets. Let me just show you. It was a pretty good. Sorry about that. It's a pretty good game. We're playing on King of the Hill. I particularly am not a fan of King of the Hill. I do prefer if there is some form of choke point control type of maps where you can actually decide your own strategy crossing the water or not. But this game is pretty fun. I think it's quite nice to show French can fast castle. I think my management of Fast Castle was a bit slow. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. So we start off with the six villagers on sheep. I start with the second scout because I wanted to get some form of a food lead so I don't have to transition. There's no water here. There's no immediate deer close by, so I know it's going to be a mission to get control of your food without investing a lot of resources into wood. So I get the second scout out. I have the first two sheep that you just select them like this and bring them closer. And then my next villager actually moves forward to create the house, and after the house, straight into a gold mine. So you just have to make sure you shift click when you build the house and then the gold mine. And that's going to be the standard start for most of the time when you play the French. There's nothing really else you can do. You have to control gold. You have to control your gold or make your gold safe, even if it's just with like a stone wall off here or something. Um, your gold is very important early game, and that's what you're going to need to get into your tech trees of your archers, but specifically this baby. This guy, light ranged infantry, has really, really nice upgrades. I don't think enough French players use this, especially because of the amount of other things going on. And if you can get 4 to 5 archery ranges up and you can mass a big army of, let's say, 40 to 60 arquebusiers or crossbowmen, French crossbowmen, they really are a game changer. They have such high penetration damage against heavy units. They perform pretty well when you get the crossbow stirrups, which gives them the extra reload time. And then again, if you have that plus the blacksmith upgrades, the fitted leatherwork, insulated helm, and the master smith. Or well, that's for your melee, and for your range, the iron undermesh, wedged rivets, and angled surfaces. Those type of upgrades really, really makes a big difference when you're playing your specific matchups. It is map dependent, it is faction dependent. Like if this was against the Mongols, it would have been a different start. I would rather go for a feudal age rush with rams instead of really a castle age. But in this game, I know my knights won't do well if he trains war elephants. Knights, the heavy, royal knights, they take extra damage from the royal or from the war elephants, so you don't want to be doing that. So I have the double scout out. I can see he did get some sheep early on. I have two right now there. I have four here and another two that I picked up here at the base. So there's a pretty decent amount of sheep being collected. Um, I'm trying, to deny him any extra food. He did get a good route or a good spawn on the sheep, but I'm trying to get as many as I can and also make sure my villagers don't run out of sheep before one of my scouts actually bring them back. So I'm speeding this up just a little bit so we can get to the important part here. You'll see now around the 3 minute mark. There we go. That's pretty perfect. If around the 3 minute mark should be your goal to get this down. 4 villagers on the School of Cavalry. You can even go for a market, but this I should have gone for the market in this case, but I didn't know how aggressive he's going to be, so I opt for the School of Cavalry just because I feel it's a safe um, place to invest a lot of resources early on, and you get that extra speed at which you train the units. So if he was not going into more elephants, but he most probably is, then you have the opportunity like against Mongols or against um, a French mirror matchup or the Holy Roman Empire or the English. This is probably your best option. You're not going to get away with building a market and not having any form of unit producing buildings, especially early on. From his perspective, he also has the landmark going up on his side, the Dome of Faith. So he is going to try and focus on relics. He's going to try and get that mosques and the upgrades. I think all their upgrades are free. They just have standard times connected towards them. Like you can see, the zeal is 20 minutes. Then your herbal medicine. So choose your upgrades wisely. There is specific upgrade that they have that allows them to, I think sanctity, there we go. They can actually capture sacred sites in the feudal age, not in the castle age. So that gives them a pretty nice advantage, especially if you go into heavy stone. Where is the stone? There we go. If you get some stone up, if you get a few castles up. It's pretty nice to defend those sacred sites like that, and they have a really nice boom once these research starts adding up because, like you see, they don't have to invest any resources into those upgrade. Whereas on my side, that's quite cheap. I do get discounts on mine as well, but that's 200 resources there, another 200 resources there, and any other upgrades. For the less time, it does add up substantially. So we have a forward deer right here, very dangerous one, but accessible one right here. We have berries, another berry farm right there, and another berry farm right here. So you have to choose kind of where you want to invest your time in because if I'm going to stay just on sheep, there's no water, there's no fish, there's no long-term food supply. On his side, he's going to run out of berries, he's going to move on to the sheep. And then the safest bet for him was going to be a very, very far deer spawn right there or the forward deer right here, right? So either he transitions into farms and goes heavy on wood, which I think was the case. That's pretty much then going to be your safest option. You have this very nice tree line here at the back, which is pretty cool if you can, isolate this front side of the base. If I was him, I'd get a stone wall down here at the front, or because this is easily defendable. It's actually closed off completely. You don't see that very often on this map. King of the Hill, and then on this side he's pretty open with the mountains, and you don't want to wall off and not include some resources. So the best way here would have been like a stone wall down the side here, and then maybe one more down this side, and just double check that there's no gaps, at the back here. So he did scout that out. He did scout this all out. So it was very possible for him to get that. But look at the difference in the minimap right here at the bottom, right? So this is what he can see so far. From my perspective, I've scattered out the whole map, just making sure I know exactly where, what points, I can expect some form of attack, how quickly I can transition into other forms of food. So we are very heavy on food, 13 on food. We have 6 on gold, which is a little bit high. You can see I move more over to food because I want to get to the castle age as fast as possible. It's a little bit, I think, late for me. Let's see what time I get that castle age bonus. Keep training villagers. Also, don't stop training villagers. Otherwise, there's no point. But you can see if you had 3 or 4 let's say 3 villagers, even 2 villagers, just you know chopping out on gold, that would be enough to get you into the castle age. Um, if you were just focusing on villagers and castle age. And that's actually the right thing. If I can pause and look back at this, you know, 2 villagers would have given me exactly 600 gold. I would have had more villagers to produce food. You know, I am heavy on wood because I know that's the next phase of the game, so this is fine. You can have about 6 or 7 on wood. But right now we need 1,200 food and 600 gold, so we are very heavy across the margins on gold. So I could have done this a lot better. Um, and there we go. Now we only transition into the castle age. If we look at his resources, he's not really close to getting a castle age. We'll jump over to his view. Um, he has, you know, villagers keep on producing villagers. He has very, very heavy wood. He has some military because there is a very high possibility that I'm gonna rush with, you know, Royal Knights. So he does do the right thing by training the barracks, and then he has the archery ranges as another support. These archers are level 2. Standard some factions don't get the higher archers. You have to actually upgrade them. And these Tower War elephants, those are the ones I'm scared of. But he does need heavy, heavy gold to get that right. And you can see here he only has the 3 villagers on gold. He gets the blacksmith out. He has the masks that increases the training of you know, or the research speed of buildings in the area. He actually has the double blacksmith, which is pretty nice because they do get affected by the mask. You can see the little plus on the buildings that gets affected. This side as well, all those buildings get affected by these upgrades. Um, you can see the total garrison scholars as well, 6. Um, and how many active items are being researched. So if you have more of the same building, you can, you know, have multiple research get done, which is the perfect way to actually play the Delhi Sultanate. But you know, food supply is starting to run low, starting to produce more gold units, and on my side, we are transitioning into building units only now. So I think at this point he's waiting for my knights to arrive. He has the hardened spearman, he has the upgrades, he has the double blacksmith, and he doesn't have to invest any resources into upgrades. So, you know, I have a scout standing on top here. I don't think he can see that. A scout up here and a scout up here. He can't see that. I can see 90% of his base and what's going on his side. So I know exactly what's going on and what to expect from my side. And that's very important, guys. Like, really get your scouts out and don't sit with a scout in your own base. Okay, then another point to discuss right now is the French. When you have a guild hall, right, you can see he's very close now to get that castle age going. And I'm only starting to train my, I struggle with that word. Blah, blah, blah. Your French crossbowman. I'm just going to stick with French crossbowman. I think it's easier to say it. So we're training the hardened spearmen so we can actually counter any elephants and also your French crossbowmen. So that combination is fully focused on making sure any elephants will, you know, get denied. You can see he's going up with the House of Learning. It's from my perspective. All I have is these 2 scouts and I can see exactly what's going on. It's very nice to get that with this specific map, the King of the Hill. You do have a lot of control in that way. So again, keeping up the villager production, I do have the blacksmith out. I wanted to go for the siege engineering, and I have to, progress into heavy wood. But I'm just gonna speed up a little bit here so you can see what happens with the mistakes I make. That's just a scout trying to get rid of a bit of harassment from the scout. Does it again here, I think, and then I get to kill him. There we go, get rid of the scout. No vision on his side. He knows there's some military unit, so there's no rush immediately happening from him with the information you gather from the scout, right? So I'm just speeding up this so you can get to the important thing. So right now we're making sure we don't run out of capacity. You don't necessarily have to just go for straight 200. Just keep up with what's happening right now. So we push forward with this unit mass. Um, that plus that is 12 spearmen, 7 French crossbowmen, and you can see the waypoint has been changed. You know, I bind everything with Control 7. You can double click, let's say the barracks, hold Shift, select Archer Rangers, still hold Shift, and you see the little line on the side here. It goes from dotted to that, and you can see here it actually gets added. Once all the buildings are selected, I press Control 7, and now you can see here on the side, it's actually bound to 7. So if I double tap 7, it's going to select that area, right? And my town center is always bound to 2. You see, I can double click this, I can double press 2. It's going to jump back to the town center as well, or I can just press H. H is the keybind to jump back there. Then my guide hall, I usually bound to 9. Um, and the last thing is my market, I bind to 8. So if I want to be busy here, quickly work with my market, I press 8. I can still do that while managing the fight, while controlling my resources. Press 2. I can still train villagers at the same time. Press 7. Tab through the different training buildings, and very easily control your whole base with those keybinds. So just take note of that while you're playing. And like this, I'm pressing 7. I'm right clicking to the front here. You can see all of the military buildings are now rallied to this point. So he was pushing forward. I get a little jump on him. If there was a few men-at-arms here, it would have been a whole different fight. But look how strong these archers are with the 6 damage. These archers are really doing damage. They get 2-3 shots off before my crossbowman gets shots off. I was expecting elephants here. From his side, he has a counterweight trebuchet. So he was going for a push to actually harass me from here downwards, which is a good call. But you need something to defend that, right? So all I'm doing is I'm forcing him to invest more resources into training units. So you can see here now he starts training more military units. He has the villager production actually on hold right now. But yeah, he has to train something to either deal with this that's happening on his side, right? Or just fight it out. And the castle is a good call. He invested a lot of villagers into that, but it's okay. He still had a villager lead. And I've seen this happen in multiple games. When you're busy, please don't sit on this much resources and not use it. If you can look from his perspective, he can go into heavy crossbowmen. He can start producing tower war elephants. He's struggling with the food. But if you have a market and you just get rid of all the gold, get a few tower war elephants out, you're going to be in a really good place. So he's starting to train units now, but he's training archers and he's training spearmen. And I think it's because he was scared of the Royal Knights, but that's not the right call with what you just saw, because you saw I had the crossbow, French crossbowman, you saw the spearmen. So that's what's happening. So the Tower War Elephants, Men at Arms. So in this case, Men at Arms would have been a really good call to take the blunt of the spearmen. And the second thing would have been, mass veteran archers, because all of these are considered light units. You can see light range infantry. Yes, they do heavy damage against heavy units, but it's a light infantry unit, and even the veteran spearmen is a light infantry unit. There's the men at arms only coming in right now because they essentially are going to tank out the front line. But this should have also been not a counterweight trebuchet. It should have been mangonels. If he had 2 mangonels instead of the counterweight trebuchets, this would have been a whole different game. He would probably have won this game then. So we have the rams set up here. We have units set up here. We'll look at it from my perspective again. I know 2 rams would be enough to deal with this because I still have that single scout, haven't moved it yet the whole time, just giving me vision on what's happening on his side. So I kind of know how strong I need to be to fight this, and the reinforcements again are rolling in from the back. We have gold that ran out here. You hear that you can, while they are busy gold mining, right? You select all of them, shift, build the mining camp, and then place it down like this. When that gold mine is finished, they will automatically go and farm gold here. With food, it's different. I had to slowly transition into farms, like you can see here. Idle villagers, not a good sign, not enough wood to do what I need to do. So it's a very difficult map to, you know, to manage if you have to go into specifically the Delhi Sultanate. Because I can't go into royal mats. You can't invest in gold and food if this is the type of playstyle. There's the first war elephant coming out. 1,400 health and 31 damage with extra damage, 40 extra damage versus cavalry. So you don't want to fight cavalry versus these war elephants. You're gonna lose because that's like a building. Very difficult to get through. But these crossbowmen are focusing down the war elephant. Now we're just picking off what we can, trying to get rid of the counterweight trebuchets. And look at the 3 rounds; they're still full HP against this keep. You know, so you don't need counterweight trebuchets. You don't have to. This is only 300 wood. It is a really nice siege that you can use, and your archers and men-at-arms and crossbowmen, they can actually produce those type of units. So I'm trying to force him to play aggressive into me. He still has to train units, and we're trying to do as much damage with this attack as we can and avoid losing the extra units we're training, right? So I see that that fight is over. I think I pull my units back at this point. There you can see those units, those men-at-arms all getting pulled back. I transitioned into men-at-arms because I know the veteran archers is his go-to unit right now. The infantry doesn't matter. The men-at-arms are going to struggle with the war elephants, so we do need to balance it out with some spearmen, and still also the French crossbowmen. So more on gold again. More idle villagers trying to get the food supply up. It's very difficult on this map to control your food supply. So a guild hall is a good call, and also use it wisely. You get 20 extra resources per 200 resources that you have. So as soon as you have your guild hall out and you let this scale to about 2,000, 3,000 food, that is actually a substantial amount of food that you can use. If you keep using it at 8 or 900, you don't necessarily get the full long-term value of the guild hall. So just be careful of that. Rather try get the villager count right, get a second town center out, which I didn't do, and that's just bad management from my side. But I was trying to keep these consistent raids going, so I can force him to stay away from 3 or 4 tower war elephants. It's very difficult to deal with him. You can see his resources now. He has enough to train one, but yeah, it's just a very difficult unit to deal with. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things that if there's 3 or 4 of them at the front of the fight with another bunch of archers or men at arms to kind of take the damage on them, or avoid them from taking heavy damage, you're gonna have a good time. So please practice that if you do like the Delhi Sultanate. The war elephants, again, he knew I had spearmen and crossbowmen, so this is a bad call. If he had the tower war elephants, the first one's only coming out now, and the Mangonel coming out now. So now he's actually learning. This is actually, I think, a really nice game for him to learn a playstyle, because you can see the change. I don't know why he brought the scholars with. I think it's because we broke down the mosque. He rebuilt it and then forgot to garrison them in the mosque, but that's okay. You can see the Tower War Elephant now. It has less health than the War Elephant, right? It's a heavy melee cavalry, where the Tower War Elephant is ranged cavalry. So spearmen, essentially, if you look at this, we again can see luckily that he is moving forward because from our perspective, we see there's like a marching band happening right now. So I see that. I use these two units to kind of move forward. Um, I thought I can straight run forward here and get a castle up with the villagers now. You'll see I'll grab the villagers, I'll grab my units to get to this army. This is a significant army from his perspective. Let's just go into semi-man mode here. Um, these villagers has no chance against them. Um, it's villagers. Get them out. But I needed the villagers because I wanted to get the castle up, preferably a lot much forward. But at this point, I think he taps out because we have the right units. We have the men-at-arms, we have the spearmen, we have the crossbowmen, and there we go. I think he could have won this fight. I think with the mangonels and the maybe two more war elephants, he was a bit more patient. He probably would have won this fight. But yeah, very, very nice game against the Deli Sultanate. Please don't leave them to just train units. They have to, use or lose resources um, against you. Otherwise, they'll just outscale you, especially because of how strong those Tower War elephants are. But thank you very much for watching, guys. We are going to keep posting a lot of videos the next 2 weeks. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.